Good evening. Thank you for being with us. In compliance with Chapter 551, Open Meetings of the Texas Government Code, I call to order a public hearing of the Board of Trustees of the Austin Independent School District for Thursday, June 18th, 2026 at 5:13 p.m. A quorum of the board is physically present at the Austin ISD Central Office to conduct this meeting. This meeting is being broadcast on cable channel 22 through Spectrum Astound Broadband and on channel 99 through AT&T UVerse. Closed captioning in English is available on these platforms for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. Welcome and thank you for joining us. We'll start with an opportunity for the public to share comments with the board. This time allows speakers to comment publicly pertaining to the fiscal year 2026-27 budget. Members of the public wishing to participate in the public testimony portion of our meeting called a dedicated AISD phone line ahead of the meeting to sign up to speak in person or to audio record their remarks. This is an opportunity for the board to take part in listening to our community. And while we wish we could respond to each topic raised, the Texas Open Meetings Act does not authorize the board to engage in deliberation or take action on comments or complaints from members of the public if the subject is not on the meeting agenda. For comments related to posted agenda items, we will engage in deliberations or ask follow-up questions during the presentation of that item on our agenda. Tonight, we have 9 people who signed up to speak in person and 8 who left a recorded message. We'll begin with our in-person testimony. To provide as many opportunities for input as possible, each speaker will be allotted 1 minute, and no substitutions or yielding of time to others is permitted. Callers who signed up to speak in person will be invited to come to the microphone when their name is called. As you come to the microphone, you'll see a button. Please press that button to turn it on, and when the buzzer sounds, please make a final thought in 1 sentence. Whether you come to give a complaint or praise, please reference any staff member by position or abbreviated last name. And we ask that all audience members, whether speaking or not, please show respect for others at all times. Our in-person speakers tonight, I'll call the first 4, Kenia Benegas, Eric Ramos, Emily Aguilar, and Brittany C.
All right, good evening. My name is Eric Ramos, and I'm speaking to you tonight basically to express my frustration. I understand a lot of work has gone into this process, and I don't want to diminish that. But the timeliness of all the details that we have been getting, I am not happy with. We have not had enough time to look through this to give you the feedback that you as a board need to know how it's going to impact those of us in the schools. You have to vote tonight without being fully informed. And I just want to say that we did get a lot of documents today. I still haven't even had time to look at all of them, which makes it hard for us to tell you what unintended consequences come from some of these cuts. So all I ask is that y'all be prepared come this fall to, whether it be through budget amendments or the actions, to start be ready to correct some of these unintended consequences and to look at what areas are most hardly hit in these cuts. And next time you make cuts, let's protect those people first. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? My name is Brittany, and I'm a parent that's in the program Communities in Schools. Communities in Schools is not just a program. They are people that are dedicated to helping our children. They are a liaison when we cannot get a hold of anybody in the school. They help us. They don't just financially help us. They mentally help us. I know I'm called a million times where I was going through a hard time, and they were just somebody that I can talk to. And to take this program away from the children while they're in school is just not right. I don't see it. I think it's a big, resourceful place for kids to go to, and they have group meetings to help them learn like social skills and any problems they may have. They have that because kids cannot use their phones in school and cannot call parents. They have their CIS worker to talk to when they are feeling like they're under pressure, under stress. So I stress you guys to please take that in consideration before you decide to let this program go.
Thank you. And I called 2 more people in this round. Do we have Kenia Benegas or Emily Aguilar here? Okay, we'll move on. Brielle C., Erica Hoffman, and Mara Masters. When you're ready, we'll go in the order people come up.
Okay. I am Mara Masters, a teacher and ballet folklorical director at Austin High School and a member of at Austin. While this was a state-manufactured budget crisis, the district has not done a fair job of averting a major equity crisis. Staff from the SPED department and some librarians who we know directly serve students have been cut, as has CIS programs that serve many vulnerable families. Late activity buses that allow many of my students who live in the trailer park communities of Oak Hill, which are not served by Cap Metro, to stay after school for tutoring and to participate in extracurricular programs like the Ballet Folklorico, have been cut. Meanwhile, top management faced none of these drastic cuts. Ed Austin got details of the plan just a week ago, allowing no time for meaningful consultation. Will an executive director come and have a personal conversation with each kid who's shut out from a program that was the center of their world? No, it's going to fall on those of us who are left on the front lines.
Thank you. Do we have Bree LC or Erica Hoffman? Okay, next to the last two in-person speakers are Evelyn W. and Vaughn Suit.
Good evening. My name is Evelyn Watson. I stand before you today to ask Austin ISD Board to continue supporting communities in school. CIS is more than a program. It is a lifeline for students and families who face challenges both inside and outside the classroom. Every day, CIS helps students overcome barriers such as food insecurities, mental health struggles, attendance issues, and family hardships. When students have someone in their corner advocating for them, they are more than likely to stay in school, succeed academically, and graduate. Removing CIS will mean taking away critical support from students who need it the most. At a time when our children are facing insecurities, social and emotional challenges, we should be investing in the program and helping them thrive and not eliminating them. Austin ISD's mission is to ensure every student has the opportunity to succeed. CIS helps make this mission a reality. I urge you to keep CIS and Austin ISD to continue investing in success, well-being, and the future of our children. Thank you and have a great rest of your evening.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Vaughn Foote, and I live in Crestview Station. The district faces difficult choices driven by a structural deficit and declining enrollment. If excess capacity is the problem, then school consolidation should be seriously considered. Moving students from one campus to another may change attendance numbers, but it does not solve excess capacity. Families choose schools, neighborhoods, and walking routes based on the expectation of stability. Every time the district disrupt those ties, trust in the district is weakened and more families consider leaving. I urge the board to address the structural deficit with a long-term plan that tackles the root cause while preserving strong neighborhoods and school communities whenever possible. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to call our other in-person speakers one more time before we go to our recorded messages. Kania Benegas, Emily Aguilar, Bree LC, or Erica Hoffman. Okay, thank you. If more people come in, I'll make a call after our recorded messages. All right, we're ready for the recorded messages for public testimony. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Minda Anderson. I'm an AISD graduate and 15-year employee of the district. I'm calling about the cuts that the board is voting on tonight. And I understand the tough situation that we are in, that the state has put us in. And if the board votes to cut or reduce librarian positions, my hope is that this will only be temporary. I also want to point out, as Trustee Quintana asked a couple weeks ago, that the majority of the campuses being affected by reduced librarian positions are Title I campuses, 16 out of the 23 campuses, and that is concerning. I also want to point out that we are losing experienced certified librarians to other districts and who are leaving the field not because they want to be in Austin ISD serving our students, but because of the concerns of the future of libraries in Austin ISD.
Being part of CIS has made a huge difference for my family. Through school events, communication, and resources, we built relationships that make us feel supported both inside and outside the classroom at Zavala. Knowing that there are people who genuinely care about my children's success and well-being gives me peace of mind. A strong school community doesn't just help students grow academically, it helps families grow together and feel connected. I am very grateful for the support, friendships, and opportunities that my son, and not only my son, but our school community has provided for my family. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Portia, mom of 2 children in the SPED program in Austin ISD. I'm asking you not to take away communities and schools. For my family, CIS is a partner that helps my children succeed both inside and outside the classroom. My daughter is being promoted to middle school from Dawson Elementary, and CIS has worked alongside me to help prepare her for this transition. They gathered information about district resources, answered questions, and hosted a one-day camp where incoming middle school students could experience what their days would look like before school even started. That preparation erased anxiety for both of us. As parents without a car, the transportation CIS provides to dances, school events, and activities is not a luxury. It is a lifeline. My children are on the autism spectrum and struggle to make friends. CIS creates a safe space in our community where they can socialize, get homework help, create projects, and simply decompress after a long day of school. The power of CIS is in its name. Its impact reaches far beyond the classroom. It touches families and communities it serves. Please do not take away that from those children like mine.
My name is Sharon Behill, and I serve as the CEO of CIS. I am calling on behalf of the 122 CIS staff members who dedicate their lives every day to serving AISD students alongside of you. Tonight, I am not asking you to believe me. I am asking you to believe the students and parents who stood at that podium in front of you and trusted you with some of the most personal moments of their lives. You have the data, and now you have the stories. You know this work changes lives. So tonight is no longer about evidence. It is about leadership. Leadership is measured by whether we have the courage to protect what we know is working, specifically for the students who need it most, and especially when times are difficult. As you cast your vote tonight, I ask you to look beyond what can be cut and focus on what must be protected. Protect what is working, protect all CIS services at current campuses, but at the minimum, protect CIS and every Band 1 school. Honor the courage of the families who stood before you over the last 4 weeks.
Hi, my name is Kona B., and I'm a single parent and participant of CIS for Pecan Springs Elementary. My daughter is 6 years old, and she is now going to 2nd grade. For the first year that she was at Pecan Springs, I needed a little bit of financial assistance in between the benefits that I did receive, and I was working and also looking for work. And CIS helps financially. They help with bus passes. They help with light bill assistance. They help with utilities. And they help with a plethora of things. They even have access to a food pantry. So things like that when you're going from check to check, or if you're not employed but you're looking and actively searching for work and you just don't have much of an income, this is what we need. And I really don't feel like it should be taken away from us. These single parents and low-income families, we need this. We need this program to be able to take care of our kids, give them what they need, provide for them in between checks, or to even give us a little bit of help until we find an income for those who are actively looking for work. So please do not take this.
Hi, this is Julie Hatfield. I'm the mom of Grant Hatfield, and we are parents at Lamar Middle School. And I was calling because I wanted to ask the board to please protect fine arts programs at Lamar and, of course, other schools too. But I really feel that this is an important program for our youth, for my son and others. And it's such an amazing environment, and it helps their brain. And it would be a really horrible shame to cut the fine arts program, specifically band, at Lamar Middle School. So please consider that. I know you have a lot of things to think about, but fine arts is one of the last things we have that really helps kids, feel a part of a group. And I think it's super important. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
My name is Sullivan. I'm a rising sophomore in the advanced classical guitar class at Anderson High School. Our guitar teacher may not be returning next year due to the budget cuts. I'm asking you please reconsider this decision. Our guitar teacher wasn't just our teacher. He's the reason our program was successful. Under his direction, our class earned sweepstakes at a varsity level competition. Some students advanced to UIL State. We worked really hard and we achieved a lot. Our program is also one of the most accessible in the school district. Guitar costs about $30, while other music programs like band cost $500. For some students, this is the only way they can be a part of music at all. We already have the guitars, so the material investment has already been made. Guitar is the best part of my day. It gives me something to look forward to and to help me stay motivated in the school. Please keep our guitar teachers so we can keep learning, improving, and representing our school. Thank you.
My name is Miso Yang. I'm an AIC parent and also a substitute teacher who sees our classroom's daily realities. I'm deeply concerned that this revised budget bridges the financial gap by degrading the working conditions of our teachers. Reducing planning periods to the state minimum and expanding class sizes asks our teacher to do more with less support. My children's school is a band-poor campus heavily impacted by these cuts. We're losing 5 teachers, 3 retiring staff, and 2 teacher assistants. On top of that, our essential areas are being slashed to 1.5 positions, forcing teachers to split time between 2 campuses. This creates immense unsustainable strain. If we squeeze our educators like this, we will see an exodus of talent to neighboring districts, a drop in classroom quality, and families following them out the door. Please protect teacher time and support systems. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our callers who left recorded messages. I saw a few more people come into the room. We have a few people who signed up to speak in person who haven't had the opportunity yet, so I'm going to call the names, and if you're here and wish to make a comment, we would love to hear from you. It's Kania Benegas, Emily Aguilar, Brielle C., and Erica Hoffman. Okay, thank you all. So this will conclude our public testimony for the hearing. Please feel free to share comments or questions with the board by email at trustees@austinisd.org. And trustees, if you have any questions or comments about non-agenda topics raised in public comment, you're welcome to share them now. I think we have one thing on our agenda, so I think we can probably discuss them all when we start discussing the budget. Everyone good with that? Okay, perfect. So we will move on to a presentation of the fiscal year 26-27 proposed general fund, food service, and debt service budgets. And Mr. Segura, would you please introduce the item?
Thank you, trustees. I'd like to invite Katrina Montgomery, our Chief Financial Officer, to assist me in the presentation regarding the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget. Before we get going, I just want to kind of acknowledge the pain, the disruption, the just severe, just kind of strain that has been within our system for the last many months as we've gone through this process. It is very, very difficult to bring forward a budget that is balanced when there are so many pressures within public education. We heard it from our community, we hear it from other districts, we hear it across the state. We are not, as a state, properly funding public education, and we're at a point where there's very little that we can do to get back to a balanced budget that doesn't create disruption and ultimately reduce the number of staff in Austin ISD. And we didn't get here overnight, and we didn't get here by accident. Every single person in this organization has a role and serves our students, and it's not going to be repaired overnight. It's going to take time as we navigate through the budget and ultimately have to implement what, if it is approved. I also want to talk briefly about just what's happening as a organization. There's immense pain within our schools. There's immense pain within our service center. There's immense pain within our transportation department, and also within this building. I think sometimes when there's that type of pain in a system, in a community, it can feel very kind of isolating. But I have spoken and do spend time with lots of individuals in this organization, and it is district-wide, city-wide. And as we go through this presentation, there are things, as we've talked about for weeks now, that are painful. And unfortunately, if we do not do this, and if we do not bring a budget forward that A, is approved, and B, begins to improve the fund balance, we run a real risk when it comes to our ability to serve our students in a way that aligns with who we are as an organization. It's unfortunate, it's sad, it's disappointing, and it's happening everywhere in the state of Texas. So with that, I'll hand it over to Katrina to take us through several of the slides. We'll kind of work together through them. But just wanted to make that point before we get going. Thank you, Katrina.
Good afternoon, President Boswell, trustees, Superintendent Segura. So as our superintendent said, this is has been a daunting process. We definitely understand the impact that it has had on our campuses and our staff. But we're gonna continuously talk through this and how we can get through this together. So this is the 26-27 proposed budget for adoption. And you can see in the lighter blue, it says general fund under public notice. So what we have to do is, when we filed our public notice, this is the budget that we presented. And so now we have to merge the two. And we're gonna spend a little time on this slide talking about why. So the general fund public notice, when we originally did our recommended budget, it was assuming that we would end our FY 25-26, which is this current fiscal year, at a 15% fund balance. And we presented to the board and the community last week on June 11th that we're projecting that we will not make the 15%. And so what that does is, there's many reasons why. Some of the reasons are because of the one thing we've talked about is the land sale of Rosedale for $26 million. We're also going to have some slides that are going to talk about how our enrollment has decreased, as well as our average daily attendance. And then there's going to be some other slides where we kind of look at how did we get here. And we'll talk about more in depth of how not making our projection for FY 25-26 at 15% and has going to impact us for FY 26-27. So the original general fund public notice was at assuming or projecting that we would end 25-26 at a 15% fund balance. And so you can see our revenue is $1,477 million. We'll talk more in depth about those assumptions that we used. Recapture is $630 million, and our operating expenditures is $907 million. And the first thing you can see is something we've talked about is, again, our operating expenditures and our recapture expenditures are more than the revenue that we're bringing in. And so this is something we've talked a lot about having a balanced budget. And so what you see below the line, you see property monetization for $60 million. So the district is putting forth in this proposed budget 4 properties for a total of $60 million. And then that gets us to a balanced budget, which means what we're projecting our revenue is, less our recapture, less operating expenditures, and also including property monetizations, we will get to a $0 we will balance for FY 26-27. So let's talk about 25-26. So some of the reasons we didn't achieve the goal: the $26 million of Rosedale sale, the sale for Brooke, we originally estimated it at $19 million. It's coming in at $16.9 million. And there were other strategies that we had that we were going to try to achieve, and some of them made and some of them did not. Some of them were the amounts that we thought that they were, and some of them were not. And so along with all of those things is why for FY 25-26, we're not going to make our 15% goal. And then you see in general fund, you see the revenue is still consistent or constant, the recapture is constant, but you now see our operating expenditures are $887 million. And I want us to talk about, again, what happened. You're going to hear me talk about a lot about weaving in 25-26, because what we hear, like, we knew that Rosedale wasn't going to make. And why didn't we pivot? And one of the reasons we didn't pivot as quickly as we should have is because 88% of our budget is people. And so that makes it very challenging to pivot and move to make up those changes in the system. And so what we're presenting now is that now that we were clear for 25-26, we're not going to make the goal, we're pivoting now. And so what that means is we had to come up with an additional $20 million to land us at a 13% fund balance. So what we went back over this last week, since we talked to you on June 11th, is found $20 million more in reductions. And so we're going to talk in depth about what that is. So again, you have your net change under general fund, which is a negative $40 million. Even with the additional $20 million reduction, our operating expenditures and our recapture is still more than our revenue. So we have a negative $40 million. And then we have our property monetization for $60 million. And now that shows that we're contributing $20 million into our fund balance. And so what this is doing is clearly us saying, we missed the mark in 25-26, but let's not delay it on for 26-27 or say that we're going to do it by have reductions in slowing spending down. We're saying immediately here that when we propose this budget is going to include the change that we need to make for not making the goal in 25-26. And then you'll see you have your food service fund, you have your debt service fund, and then you have your total governmental funds. This next slide is general fund expenditures by function. And so what this slide shows is all of our expenses in a function code. It shows our FY 25-26 adopted budget, and this $1,707 million is our operating expenditures plus recapture. And then again, you see our public notice. So we want to make sure that everyone in the community is aware of what is different at public notice versus what we're presenting today. So the public notice is $1,536 million. So the change from FY 25-26 adopted to the 26-27 public notice is $170 million. So then you can see the change in percentage. And then to the far right, now we have a proposed, which is $1,516 million. And the change in the public notice and the change in what we're proposing today is $20 million. So you can see there's a total between, if you look at the change adoption, the $170 million and the $20 million. So we'll talk about the $190 million in a second. When we talk about our unassigned percentage and how do we calculate it, it is our unassigned fund balance over our operating expenditures. And so we want to spend some time today making sure that our community, our board, and our staff are going along with us about the changes that have been made over the last week. So FY 25-26, again, we were projecting that we would land at a 15%. So that meant we would start off 26-27 with a 15% fund balance. Our operating expenditures was approximately $907 million. Our unassigned fund balance, and that would leave us with the unassigned fund balance of 15.5. And so that was the original proposal, preliminary information that you received from us. And so now in the middle, you have a 10% projection showing that if we end the year at 25-26 at a 10% fund balance, Our operating expenditures are $906 million. That would make our unassigned fund balance $96.4 million and 10.6%. So what this middle slide is showing is if we made no additional cuts, if we just stopped at the $185 million and we ended the 25-26 fiscal year at 10% and did nothing else, it would have our fund balance projected for FY 26-27 at 10.6%. And then in the far right, this is the budget that we're proposing today. You have FY 25-26 saying that we're going to end the year at a 10%. And then now you can see the $886 million that you saw that we've reduced the $20 million. That will increase our fund balance to $116 million, and that will land us with 13%. So again, the far left-hand column is where we originally where we originally proposed, or we originally did our recommended budget for FY 26-27. The middle box is if we made no further corrections, because we want our community and board to know where unassigned fund balance percentage would land. And then to the far right is what we're proposing here today. So our general fund assumptions, we've talked about this in workshops. How should we land looking at our enrollment? Our enrollment number projected is 68,329. Our average daily attendance is 59,717. You have your change in property values, of which we've discussed, of 3%. So the 25-26 change in ADA and enrollment, and again, we're weaving all of this through of how we did not make the projection for 25-26. So you can see we have under budget adoption, our refined ADA is 64,100, and our enrollment for our budget was adopted at 72,303. And you could see where we are at first 6 weeks, our refined ADA versus first 6 weeks, and second 6 weeks, and third 6 weeks, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And you can see our enrollment numbers are going down and our ADA numbers are going down. And so as this continuously happens, it's a challenge, because that means we're getting less revenue, but we have not reduced our expenses at the same rate that we are reducing our revenue. So when we talk about what we need to do differently for 26-27, we need to be really clear. As we see these numbers change, we need to instantly start making changes in reducing our expenses. So this slide is ADA versus enrollment. It's another one. So you could see refined ADA for FY 24-25. Our budget adoption is 64,100. We ended the year at 63,758. It was a difference of 342, so a variance of 0.5. And then the same logic for enrollment. What we want to point out here for FY 24-25 is that even though our enrollment had decreased and our average daily attendance had decreased, we were able to make up these reductions in revenue. And so a 1% revenue loss, we were able to make that up. So that's why we were able to end 24-25 at a more favorable place. For FY 25-26, you could see we did budget adoption at 64,100, and I want to be clear, this refined ADA that we did for budget adoption, our refined ADA was higher. So when we did the projection, we had already decreased the refined ADA. So our refined ADA was 64,100. Our enrollment number was 72,303. And you could see that our refined ADA is 61,382, and our enrollment is 69,079. So you could see ADA has gone down 2,717, and our enrollment has gone down 3,224. So when you look at these percentages, this is another reason why it was really hard for us to make the pivot for 25-26. Because even though we planned and did the budget adoption conservatively, then our numbers decreased much faster. Our numbers decreased at a rate that we had not predicted. So here's our implemented budget reduction. So this shows that originally when you saw this slide last time, it had 185 million, and now we're saying it's 205 because we had the 185 and we've added the $20 million that we talked about to get us to the 13%. So here you have district-wide budget reductions is 28 million. Property monetizations is 60 million. Campuses is 33 million. Departments is 36 million. But remember, we had to go back to our departments and say that we need additional reductions. So our departments are doing 36 million plus 17, which is a total of 53 million. And then you have district-wide reductions of 31 million for a total of $205 million. So we're going to dive into these numbers a little bit more for more clarification. So reductions to support fund balance at 13%. This is how the additional $20 million, how we designed the $20 million over this last week. So you have increased class ratios. You have Band 2, no TAP campuses, and Band 1, no TAP campuses. That's for an estimated $1 million. And then you have elementary essential areas, Band 3 only, for teachers and TAs, totaling $1.44 million. Substitute cost reductions for $2 million. We have a new chief officer, and we've been talking a lot about how can we reduce our substitute costs. He has some great ideas. Stipend cost reduction, alignment to our to TASB study that our stipends are still high. How can we're contributing $4 million additional dollars in stipends reductions in benefits. So we're looking at ways that we can provide great plans for our staff, and how there's multiple options or ways that we could do this, but a savings to the district of $3.72 million. Central leadership attrition, so that's director and above, $1 million. Attrition for the district for the months of July through December, $5.34 million. We've worked with Talent Strategy on this number. This number is very low. We want it to be very conservative, but $5.34 million. Overtime, there's some strategies about how we can continuously reduce overtime for $1.5 million. And then we put real estate here as this is another option, but we haven't monetized we haven't added a dollar amount. So these are all of the reductions to support us getting from 10% to 13% for a total of $20 million. So for FY 25-26 and 26-27 expenditure change. So when I showed it to you, when we talked about it previously, I said, remember the 190.8, right? 190.8. So you see proposed increases, school improvement investment. There was $17 million invested in our campuses for TAPS. TRS on behalf is an increase of $11 million. Teacher incentive allotment, HB2 costs, and then additional HB2 initial costs for staff increases. And then you have proposed decreases, and these are campus adjustments and consolidations because we did campus school consolidations this year for a reduction of $20 million. Campus staffing ratios, $31 million. Duty day adjustments are impacts for central office staff who will be losing 5 days worth of pay, but it will be offset by 5 PTO or vacation days. Department force reductions is $17 million here at Central. Department non-staffing is $14 million. Department staffing is $8 million. You have substitute costs of $4 million. We've collapsed vacancies of $15 million, and this is just vacancies at central office. We have not collapsed any vacancies at our campuses. Pending district and leveling attrition, $31 million. Recapture adjustment and reductions to support the 13% is $20 million. So if you take the total increases less the total decreases, you could see that's why we have net reductions of $192 million. So our superintendent spoke earlier about the impacts on our campuses and our staff, as well as central office. So this is a slide we presented before. We've added a section at the bottom, but you can see elementary teachers, you can see the number that have been impacted by our ratio changes. And I want to be clear, this slide is prior to the information that we just presented for the 20 million. So our elementary teachers have been impacted by 45, and then the talent strategy department has broken it out by that's 36 teachers, 9 non-certified, 30 teachers have been placed, and then placements not needed, it says 12. And I want to spend some time on this because when I talked to talent strategy today, I wanted us to be clear about what placement not needed is. And the additional clarification I received today is that that just meant that the teacher might have found another position at their campus. So they did not need to be placed by talent strategy. That does not mean that these are people that are separated from our district. And then you have needs placement 3. So you can go down and you can see each one of the lines: elementary teachers, middle school teachers, high school teachers. You can see essential areas. This is an area that talent strategy is really working on, trying to make sure we can figure out how to place. They feel confident that we can place as we get our information throughout the end of the year and our uncertified teachers, and once we see how they're impacted. You have counselors, assistant principals, and librarians, and then you have departments, and this is the new item here. So there's going to be a slide I think that you're going to see next that shows that there were 84 central office staff impacted. Of those, 69 people have been placed, or it could be as simple as some people's calendars days change from 216 or 207 to 197. But this and then placements not needed is 15. So one of the things we want to be clear with this slide is we clearly understand that there's been lots of disruption to our district, our staff, but the talent strategy department and everyone is supporting, trying to make sure that even with all of these reductions, we're trying to make sure that our staff have somewhere to land. So even though it's been very disruptive, making sure that it might be you're no longer in finance, you're in TLL, I'm making this up, or you might not be at campus A, you're at campus B, but we're doing talent strategy and we're supporting, they're doing everything they can, that even though this is very disruptive, that our staff still have homes to attend. And so this is the slide, departmental impacted position reductions. So this is general fund only. And the field FTE is the 84 that you just saw on the previous slide. And this talks about field FTEs, how many positions, because we're hearing how many actual positions, how many actual positions were actually filled. And it's 84. We had vacant positions of 196 for a total of 280.55. And then you can see the savings is broken out by field, 8.53. Vacant is 15.02 for a total savings of $23.54 million. And then central office reductions, and we wanted to talk about this because our superintendent just clearly stated that this is pain that the district is feeling, our campuses are feeling, but also my peers here at central office. So central office, if you look, it's broken out between non-staffing for a total of $29.64 million, as well as staffing of $23.54 for a total of $53 million. Now, I want to be clear that this slide can continuously change. The $17 million that we talked about was forced reductions. We forced it out of everyone's non-staffing dollars. So a leader can come back and say, I don't want it out of my non-staffing, I want to change it to staffing. So these numbers can continuously fluctuate, but the total will remain the same. The allocation between non-staffing and staffing can change, but the total should not change. And then here's a change in our organizational budget. So what we're looking at here is FY 24-25, our adopted budget is $954 million. For FY 25-26, the adopted budget was $991 million, and you can see that's an increase. And then FY 26-27, our proposed budget is $887 million. So you could see all the work that happened between 25-26 and 26-27. You also see adopted FTEs for 24-25, 10,298. And then you can see that there's an increase of adopted FTEs for 25-26 for 10,392. And then you see for 26-27, our proposed FTE full-time equivalents is 9,744. So we've talked clearly about a lot of the work that's happened from 25-26 to 26-27. And then for 24-25 to 25-26, a lot of that you can see is in staffing. We increased our staffing in a few different departments. One of the departments specifically you would see here is special education. And special education has increased because what we've done over the years is we've tried to reduce our reliance on contractors, and the special education department has been making great waves in reducing our reliance on contractors instead of actually having staff here at the district. I believe the last time I talked to Dr. Lee or Dr. Baker, they were down to 5 contractors. So then this next slide changes in senior leadership. You see for FY 25-26, we had adopted FTEs of 57.20. So this change in senior leadership is executive director and above. And then you can also see proposed FTEs are 50. So there's a change in FTEs or a decrease of 7.20. So FY 26-27, our budget stabilization timeline, we presented this last week, but we want to make sure that we're consistently talking about there's still in FY 26-27 an additional $31 million that will need to be reduced. And we're saying that we're going to do that from July through December of 2026, and it will happen through leveling, attrition, and restructure. And then there's an additional $60 million for FY 27-28, which is the property sales that we will work to reduce from July through January. And we want to make sure that we're keeping present about that this work is not done. Even though there's a lot of hard work that has happened, there's going to be additional reductions needed for FY 20 in the year, FY 26-27. And then when we're planning for the budget for FY 27-28, we know at the minimum we'll have to reduce the $60 million for the land sales that we're proposing for FY 26-27. And then we have budget consent of FY 27-28 budget reductions. We have a budget development calendar where we're going to present items to the board in October and November so that we can solidify. This is one of the improvements we're going to do this year so that we can solidify with agreement with the board what the reductions are going to be so that we can start notifying our staff earlier and start making decisions earlier, sooner rather than later. And then we have our budget adoption in June of 2027. One of the things the superintendent and I worked on is an updated budget timeline, and I do want to spend a little time on this slide to talk about in June 18th what we're doing, which is today. The FY 26-27, we're saying our starting point is 10%. FY 26-27, what the additional reductions are for 13%, we've talked about is $20 million. If we wanted to get to 15%, that'll be $36 million in reduction. So we're already taking the $20 million. We'd have to take an additional $16 million reductions for FY 26-27 if we wanted to get to 15%. Recommendations made by superintendent to cover the difference, which we've talked about. An updated budget calendar vote, which is on the agenda for later this afternoon. And then on July 20th, the staff we're going to give a written update of where we're projecting our June 25-26 financials will land, and also a fund balance update. So not only are we saying as an administration led by our superintendent that we are going to monitor the information. We're going to present the information more, which means our fund balance, our cash balance, and our expenditures, and then also pivot as needed. We receive our TCAT certified values for FY 26-27 on July 25th, so that's the final numbers. And then on August 13th, we have what we will, that is our presentation to the board. So sustaining fiscal discipline, we know that there are some things that we can improve upon. And so here are some of the things that we're going to talk about. Staffing and workflow, updated approval workflow to further control staffing. That's making sure that talent strategy and finance are in the loop when a position is approved, when a position is increased, that talent strategy and finance are always lockstep so that we are aware of how the impact is for our budget. Resource allocation, uphold class size ratios. We talked about this when we met, the finance team, we met with Tracy Ginsburg and Amanda Bronson, and one of the things they talked about is almost every school district has class size ratios, but none of them honor them. And so that was clearly where we were as a district. And so this is something that we've changed and updated our ratios this year, and we need to uphold our ratios. If our ratios state this, we need to uphold it. In the past, we've had a principal could say, oh, I'm going to have additional students, or that my numbers are going to increase, the enrollment is coming, and so we would give the additional allocation. So upholding our class ratios is going to be very important. Continuously reviewing our stipends as well as our substitute costs, making sure that we're always going through and clearly understanding how we're spending our expenditures for staffing. Contract management, outcome-based contracting, making sure that we're clear about what are we receiving from our vendors, what is the contract, what is the outcome, what are our students getting from it, not just having a contract and doing it again next year and the next year and next year. Shifting from reactive correction to consistent compliant purchasing practices. One of the things, we have quite a few unratified purchases, which just means that our staff have been going out, finding contracts, getting invoices, procuring services without following the proper steps. And so Kenneth and I our general counsel and I have a meeting to start talking about how we can improve upon these processes and make sure that we're clear with our staff that you just can't go out and purchase something without a purchase order. You can't just go out and legally bind the district by signing a contract. Budget oversight, yearly department budget reviews. This is something the superintendent and I are committed to, is what we did this year to continuously refine all the work that the team has done, the line-by-line budgeting. We can't just do it one time and let it stop. We have to continuously move forward with that work. And monthly budget updates to the Board of Trustees, including where our fund balance is, where our expenditures and revenue are, and then also our cash balance. So I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent to take over the next 2 slides.
Yes, thank you, Katrina. If you could go back a slide, I think there's something here. When it comes to oversight and staffing allocations, this is an area of significant improvement for the district. Making sure that talent strategy and the process that we use to release allocations is locked in with finance. So we've modified our processes, and now, right, wrong, or indifferent, they go all the way up through me for the time being until the system is at a point where we have the controls in place that ensure that the allocations are meeting the needs of our students and adhering to our ratios. The other thing I wanted to just quickly touch on is when Katrina talks about staff and the spending, what often happens is the person who is spending isn't the person responsible for the budget. And so the way to create a control around that is to kind of be very clear about the expenditures that are approved, making sure that you cannot release a purchase order or even start a procurement process unless the funds are available, unless it's been approved by an executive director that aligns with our overall budget, because they are the ones who are responsible for it. And so there aren't contracts being signed by any means, but there are lots of requests that go out that aren't necessarily aligned to the budget because the request is coming from someone who doesn't own the budget. So as we move away from the control side, I did want to provide an update regarding the planning around the secondary schools hub stop planning. There's been lots of questions around this. I want to be really clear. We are effectively just wanting to create a system that provides access to all of our students, but in a way that creates fewer stops. Right now, transportation is in the process of conducting site visits to identify the most effective and safe stop locations. There are a variety of different locations. There could be community centers within a neighborhood. It could be Austin Libraries. It could be ACC. It could be our schools. There's lots of things that we could use. And really the idea here is instead of stopping block by block, you create kind of a hub within a neighborhood. And there's lots of ways to do it. We'll continue to refine the process throughout the first month and then make adjustments. Families are going to receive letters by June 25th to just provide an update as to what to expect. There isn't necessarily a true threshold for like distance because all distances are different relative to the type of thoroughfares in the area. But we are being very thoughtful about our approach. The bus finder will be updated and available on August 3rd so that families can view all of their information. In this process, we do every year. So it's not uncommon for us to do it. We just are reconfiguring the number of stops, and that'll thereby reduce the number of routes, which will reduce the number of staff needed to run those routes. As we go to the last slide, one of the things I just wanted to kind of tie back all together is the alignment of the budget with our scorecard. Everything that we do is in service to our students to ensure that they are getting what they need to be successful and do it in a way that aligns with who we are, our values. And for the last many years, predates me, predates this board, there have been lots of decisions made, and we benefited from an ever-increasing property value kind of environment within Austin. And we're at a point now with the pressures where we have to protect the best of who we are and at the same time continue to support the outcomes which have been moving. And so this budget is a receipt. It is a document that kind of binds us to who we are. It is a difficult budget to bring forward to our board. It has been very hard, and it's going to continue to be hard as we implement, but want to extend just all the grace and appreciation to our staff, to our families that unfortunately have to go through this with us. There are no good choices at this point. So with that, I'll hand it over to President Boswell, and the team and I will answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Montgomery and Superintendent Segura for this. Trustees, who has comments or questions to start? Vice President Foster, or Secretary Foster, thank you.
I have several, and I'll try to group them, and I'll try to be succinct, but to just signal where I'm going. I have, and some of this, we have a consent item on our budget calendaring, and I do have questions going forward. So some of what I'm asking has to do with sort of our near future, but some of it accrues to this moment as well. And what I'm really concerned about is forecasting. I'm just kind of stymied or confused, and it feels like the variables, there's so many variables coming from so many angles that our capacity to forecast effectively is really low. And in a context where we're not really able to forecast well, how do we get a budget, right? So just a couple of the buckets. We said as one, I don't even know if it's low-hanging fruit, but we said we want to sell 4 campuses for $60 million. This isn't the greatest market in the world, and so I have concerns. And then also, community speaks up and says, raises concerns, lawsuits. There's a whole bunch of things that go in that complicate our sales. Now, on the other hand, there's been adaptive reuse that's been really powerful and not really talked about, like Anita Coy, and there's, y'all have done dynamic things with our properties. That said, we've got a whole bunch of properties surplused. Is there some flex or flexibility in terms of selling this many properties to get the $60 million? Is $60 million the North Star? And so 60 million is the North Star with the sale of properties being it, and so it could be a combination, things could shift. So that's the first question, is tell me about that.
Yeah, so great question, Trustee Foster. I have been here in Austin ISD for 8 years and have been a part of lots of different transactions, and you're absolutely right. We don't always know how the property is going to transact. Is it a capitalized ground lease? Is it a fee simple transaction? The number that's here is a number that is conservative in the sense that given market conditions, given the entitlements, given the quantity of properties that we have that could be monetized, 60 million is a number that I think we will be able to achieve with a high probability of certainty. Okay. I've been a little anxious about quantifying the number we put 4 because I think it's important to note that I think it'll be a 4. I don't know which combination of 4, and if needed, it may be a 5th. Or some, because there's just lots of different ways that this could get done. But at the end of the day, and there are things that we as a system have not put a dollar on, but we know will yield some value. So I would say, generally speaking, regarding the portfolio and the work that we've done, everything that's been out in the community, we're confident that $60 million is a very reasonable, executable amount within the fiscal year. Yeah.
So for me, that logic is sound, and I appreciate that. And then on the community side, unfortunately or fortunately, we're community's going to be weighing in, and what we're introducing is some flexibility that also means that communities are going to step up and say we're going to have to be ready for those hard conversations with our communities.
Yeah, and Trustee Foster, I think this is one of the things that I think we've improved upon. James Valadez, who's our Director of Real Estate, Jamie Miller, who's our Operations Officer. They're now in round 2 of these meetings where we're having conversations with our community regarding surplus, and there is kind of a description of what the properties will likely become, or the kind of the area that we're going to explore, and that information was used to inform the number that's on the list. So I would be surprised if there was a real surprise if we went a different direction, because we are aligned with what we've been saying out in the community and also what we've been hearing back. And so when you look at the properties that have been discussed for surplus, you'll see that there are some that have been identified for monetization, and there's some that haven't been, and that aligns with this number.
Okay.
So I guess what I would say, I'd be surprised if we would see the same type of response, because we've been pretty clear now with the ranking which ones are likely to be monetized in that way.
Got it.
And we have been for a little while. But of course, we'll always work with community and do the best we can to make adjustments. But
Got it. And side note, it really bums me out to spend this much time talking about this and not talking about our students and our kids. But this is what we need to talk about in this moment. So the next thing, we've kind of taken out some payday loans, and those were not anticipated and built in. Well, the interest associated with those, which were considerable, were not anticipated or considered. So how many times do we anticipate taking out payday loans in the upcoming year, and at what cost?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Foster. So for FY 26-27, 1, and we're refining the numbers now to see how much, because we're going to do exactly what we did last year, is to make sure that we're monitoring the spend, looking at accounts payable, projecting what our payroll is, which is going to be kind of consistent. And then we met today with our financial advisors for them to start working on it, to tell us like what the interest rate would be. So we're starting to plan it out now.
Got it. And I sorry.
Well, I just wanted to maybe kind of introduce a different term. I understand payday loan. I think the only concern is the payday loan assumes an egregious interest rate. Typically, like in the hundreds of percent in many cases. That's not what this is. This is a interest rate that is in alignment with our bond rating, the cash on hand, the property values. Just so if there are community members out there that maybe respond and say, Matthias, you can get a better deal than that. That's in fact true. We are, getting as competitive rates as we can. So I prefer to use maybe like a bridge loan. But I had that question come up already.
I'm trying so hard not to make snarky jokes. So.
I know, but hey, trust me, I've done a payday loan years ago. It's just.
So and I appreciate the nuance. I appreciate the nuance, and it is important, and I don't mean to be light with something important. On the other hand, we're not talking about $5,000,
No.
tens of thousands. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. So even if the rate is low, raw numbers, these are impactful, you know?
That's true.
So I would love if we, sadly, like, we're gonna do it.
Yes.
We know we're gonna do it. We built it in, not, here's a second one that was unanticipated, here's a third one that was unanticipated. And it goes to the question of this forecasting. So I wanna lift up that we're doing this, that we are in a position of having to engage this practice, but I'd love for us to account for it, you know, up ahead.
I'm so sorry, you've actually answered one of my questions, but I just need a little bit of clarity, because my question was, will we still have to borrow money at 13.1%? So are we saying yes?
The 13.1%.
Fund balance.
Oh, right. So the amount, we will have to borrow money, Trustee Hunter, period. But it won't necessarily be at 13%. I believe last year when we borrowed it, it was like at 4.6%.
No, I meant like the fund balance, because at 10% we knew, right?
Yes.
At 15% we're good, but we're gonna be at 13%.
Yes.
So thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah, and just to put a finer point on that, Trustee Hunter, I'm not so certain at 15% that you would actually not draw down, or even at 18%. I mean, really, you have to have a significant amount of cash on hand, given the flow and the payroll per month, and the way that, you know, we get revenue from the tax appraiser district. So I don't want to make it tied to a percent, because it could fluctuate.
And this is really, I think, valuable for our community as part of the education process of why the funds balance is so important. It is a healthy fund balance that keeps us from making these tough decisions that cost us more money, right? The low fund balance is what has us have to go out and secure these extra loans. So, you know, Trustee D'Arioste, who, you know, he will tell us very quickly about what's going on in special ed. And I'm just to raise something that I know would be on your mind, and it's in line with this, the federal government is shifting dramatically in terms of the Department of Ed and sending this office over here and that office over there. And so what percentage of our budget comes from the federal government, grants, reimbursements, et cetera, as a first question? And then what that directly goes to is, do we account for, how do we account for unpredictability, which is crazy to say, unpredictability from the federal government in terms of them paying us on time or them paying us what they're supposed to, et cetera?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second part of the question first. It is very unpredictable. I will say that a year ago, I had a very, very similar conversation with about 100 people in this building in a room upstairs, because title dollars were frozen for a period of time while the Department of Education was evaluating whether they were, you know, where they should be frozen or not, or where they should. And so that freeze alone was a significant thing to navigate. And so the way that we're kind of navigating the uncertainty is with extreme clarity and communicating with people. Like, you are funded by a funding source that is unstable. Like, unfortunately, that's just where we are. Not Title I so much, IDEA not as much, but generally, you know, Title IV, there are other title dollars and grants that we get from the federal government that have been unstable the last couple of years. And I would also say, to an extent, I mean, even revenue that we get, or funds we get from the city of Austin, I mean, those have been somewhat unstable, as, you know, parent support specialists have been impacted. So we have to be really clear, if there is a person who's funded with a alternative funding source that's not tied to 199, we are limited in how we can protect the position once that funding source changes. And the reason I say that is because we don't know what's going to happen. It could be even the transition to block grants or whatever they end up deciding to do. The delay alone could have a significant impact on our ability to cover payroll. Let's say you delay 6 to 8 weeks, payroll's over $50 million a month. You don't have the funding source. Well, now you're back in a position, and these are not small swings. So I don't know the specifics as far as I'd probably pick them up as far as the percent of the kind of special education division that's paid for using, you know, IDEA versus various titles. But I can pull that fairly quickly, unless you probably don't have it on hand, but I can get that.
So if I could pair it in on this, so I just wanted to clarify, because when I'm looking at this, if I'm reading correctly, y'all are moving positions into Idea B, right?
Yes. Some.
So, I'm seeing maybe between 3 to 4.5 million of sped changes. And I'm concerned just as an example among all these other parts, but I fully expect that Idea B funding, they're going to have to transfer it to Health and Human Services. They're affecting that now. So I do expect that those grants, that funding is going to get delayed, the same as last year's. That's a very real concern for me. I don't think that's all of this 3 to 4.5 million, but it's certainly close to 1 million, maybe.
Yeah, and
those are like evaluation specialists, monolingual educational diagnosticians, facilitators, clerks, compliance specialists. I get that we're moving them to the grant to affect space in the general fund, but, regardless of the language, my concern there is that we're relying on that grant funding coming in for August, and there's a very real chance that that's at the very minimum going to be delayed. And my recollection last year was the positions that got delayed, it was over a month, and we had to reassign all those pieces, those positions didn't get recovered.
Two things. The first is IDEA funding can only pay for certain things, right? I don't have, so if you don't use the funds and you don't assign expense to them, then you're not able to leverage them in the same way. So it's really important that as we go through this process, we are tying the PIC code to the expense. And so as you go through and try to reduce your overall cost, anytime you can align an expense that will be fully covered, because there are lots of people in this building, there are lots of expenses that just will not be covered with those grants. They don't qualify. And so we have to marry up the ones that qualify, kind of fill that grant allocation to the highest possible limit, because if not, then you potentially lose it. And at the same time, kind of balance out this real acknowledgement that at the end of the day, if there is a fluctuation, we have to manage through it. Regarding what happened with title funds, there was a delay. It was multiple weeks. We prepared everybody. We had conversations. They were unfrozen after a period of time, and we were able to navigate that within our own system. And that number was probably even north of 4 million, given the number of people that I talked to in that meeting. I couldn't tell you the exact number. But that is kind of the challenge. And it happens in many other areas of the system as well. Whether it's state funding, the way that we get funding from the Department of Agriculture for food service. There are hundreds, if not probably over thousands of people that are tied to grants that we have no control over the source. But if we don't access them and consume them, then they aren't going to be there in the same way.
Yeah, I get that part. My concern is, one, I think the delay is likely, so it's not an if, it's when. And then two is to Trustee Foster's, I think the heart of the question is, how do we float that when that happens? If it's a month, if it's 2 months, they're going to have to flip the whole billing system. Is going to have to switch to HHS, like the accounting and tracking and all of that. And in line with that, some of the positions we're moving are diagnosticians, and we're also reducing the number of duty days for the diagnosticians, correct? So, the other element of that change is OCR going to the Department of Justice with the expectation that Department of Justice is going to be much more vigilant about looking at OCR violations. And so there's kind of a double jeopardy there, particularly around the evaluations, the diagnostics, aside from the fact that we want to be on time, is, those kind of overlap. And so I understand the reality for the budget changes, and as some people had said, some of the comments earlier, we can do amendments and look at how we're progressing, month to month, from the budgeting calendar. But specifically, how are we going to weather any of these bumps? Because if diagnosticians aren't getting paid and they're not working for a month, the backlog would be pretty quick to accumulate.
Yeah, that's true unfortunately, that's true for lots of different groups. We have to, there's only so far we could go as far as floating, and the last time we did this, I think 6 weeks was about as far as we could go. We were able to extend to 6 months. We are very clear that if you're working, you're going to get paid, and we want people to get paid. We need them to continue to work to do exactly what you said, so we don't have evaluations we continue to backlog. That's a function of cash on hand. It's a function of acquiring lines of credit if you need it. The reality, if that happens, like every single district in the state of Texas and probably the country, it is not going to be localized to us. Everybody is going to be reeling. I know it's not the answer you want to hear, that it's like, but it's one that we would manage with cash, with lending, if we had to continue to do it that way.
Yeah, and perhaps I should reframe this. This news just came out the other day. I have been kind of mentioning this a little bit, but I just bring it up because of I want to really be clear on the reality of what is likely in the waters ahead as we're navigating forward. I expect the wake of, this disruption. And so I understand we have a limited amount of time for this budgeting process, but I do think we need to be aware of that because, those are going to be $1 million swings coming at us. And this budget is cut so tight, and we still have deficit in front of us. How are we going to manage when we have like a $5 million swing come our way? I'm not looking for an immediate answer. I'm raising the question as we go forward. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's have a procedural question real fast, and I hate to interrupt, but we have at least 22 or 23 people waiting to make in-person comments, and I believe that there's a lot more discussion to be had on the budget. Is there any way that we could recess this hearing, start the general meeting, and then continue with the discussion of budget as a voting item on the agenda?
We'll ask our counsel.
Or is there an interest in doing that?
Well, what's the kind of best flow of information and discussion?
I think first we want to know what the legal flow is. So I think that's a legal question for our counsel first about whether we have satisfied the requirements for our hearing and could further discuss.
Yeah, you
pull it from the
certainly
consent
satisfied
agenda
the
or
requirements
discuss.
for your budget hearing many times over. But I don't think, unless budget is posted on the regular meeting agenda, like you need to have your budget discussion now because they're posted as separate meetings. So if you adjourn this budget meeting, you can't come back to the budget unless it's on that agenda as well.
It's
If
on
it's
the
on that
agenda
agenda
for a
as well, then you're fine.
vote.
So,
As
yeah.
a voting item.
I don't want to
Yeah.
disrupt the flow.
So
by
if
any
it's a
means, but
voting
also-
item on that agenda, then you're posted to talk about it, you can talk about it, it's fine. You don't have to, you've heard from the public you've had your budget hearing, yes. You can adjourn this and take that up.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion. So I don't
Going to
wanna-
look at our agenda to be sure. I know it's there because I know we're voting on it. But I just want to
There's a lot there.
put eyes on it. And Christine, can you look at the way it is listed?
Out there in 14.2, the very last item is the budget.
Yes.
So it is.
Yeah.
As an item for a separate vote. So
Yeah, there'll be discussion.
you feel like we're good, yes?
As long as you're fine with that, because you'll have a whole bunch of meeting before you get to
I
that.
think, Trustee Kaufman, I think that's a very kind suggestion for our community because we do have a lot of people.
But I do want to recognize Secretary Foster's concern around the flow. So,
Yeah.
like we're in the midst of a discussion, so
Yeah.
I just want to put it out there.
I'm a little torn because I've kind of want to wrap a discussion all at once. Well, not that it'll be fully resolved, but I don't know. Maybe we should ask for other opinions on the board and what the other trustees feel.
Yeah. Trustee Singh, do you have thoughts?
I'm a little torn too. I think if we could, I would like to get through the discussion personally, but I'm also perfectly happy if most folks want.
Do we want to give it 30 minutes, see how we are?
Yeah, I don't want to be here at 10 o'clock tonight and have our waiting,
speakers,
but
yeah.
if
Let's give it 30 minutes, that'll be 7 o'clock. Let's give it that and then see where we are. How about that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Let me try to condense and wrap because I had too many more things to ask. But I guess just to echo the theme for me and the big question for me has to do with both for approving a budget tonight, but also looking forward, is this issue of forecasting and our capacity. I want to kind of note that our proposal, because there's been a lot of talk about central admin, as there needs to be talk about all of the district and all of its operations, but the finance shop, that's like 42 folk, right? And it's compliance, and it's treasury, so managing the funds, it is procurement, it is general accounting, it is a ton of different things, payroll, and kind of to Trustee Deliosti's point, at some point, you have to have somebody who's really on the compliance stuff to make sure that the check that came to us is actually for the right amount. Because sometimes checks come in light and districts don't even notice. And they've left $800,000 on the table because the federal government or the state or whoever kind of counted badly. And so our finance, that team, y'all serve a really important and complex function. We're taking your shop down from 42 to 26 and still have the expectation of strong forecasting and getting payroll right and doing all this, these things that need to happen. So I'm experiencing a real tension here. I'm kind of like others of us. I'm reminded of days when, the way we paid bills in the house was throw them up, and whichever one didn't land, that's what we were gonna, pay, because we were broke. We're getting to a point where our capacity to do the work excellently enough to actually balance the books is to me, it's under threat. And if I'm being candid, I'm feeling the threat in this very budget process. Like the fact that these numbers keep fluctuating. I offer, it's not even grace in this. I feel like our system is overwhelmed with the complexity of what's going on, and it's challenging us. So I don't understand how we're not going to be even more challenged in our capacity to get the budgeting strong and right and forecast well going into the future, especially with your shop going down by whatever the math is. That's like a third or something like that. So I don't know if I can frame that as a question. Just something for us to take note of, that the level of specificity and detail work that's required of your shop is high as we're cutting back on your shop. Any thoughts? Except for to say, yeah, I don't know.
I think I appreciate that, Trustee Foster. I think what you have elaborated is, or what you've expressed is true, but that's also true for my peers as well, right? So I appreciate highlighting that finance is shrinking. I think when I got here it was 100 people, and so we are definitely reducing year over year over year, right? And it does impact the work, but that is also the same for my peers that are sitting out here beside me.
Well, and it's the same on our campuses.
Yes.
We have teachers and folks desperately wanting to deliver to our kids, and
Yes.
we're taking away pieces that help make that possible.
Yes.
So this is something that's felt literally everywhere in the organization.
Yes.
I do have other questions, but I will stop there. And I appreciate Trustee Hunter and Trustee Dariosti kind of rounding out the conversation as we move forward.
Thank you. Who wants to go next? Trustee Singh, you have anything?
Somebody else wants to go.
Okay. Trustee Quintana, Trustee Kaufman.
Okay, I can go. So, I'm sorry, this is obviously a lot, and I thank you for your work and your commitment to doing these hard things. I guess I'm just wondering if there is a difference in this budget around which schools will be affected by essential area cuts. Are we we're adding schools.
That's correct, Trustee Quintana. For essential areas, when we looked at the need to increase the reductions, what we explored were things that were already underway and expanding them further, opposed to introducing something new that was going to be, impact staff. And so previously for essential areas, we had limited it to band 4 only. Now what we've said is we're going to expand it to band 3. And just for those following along, bands are a way that we in Austin ISD kind of group schools with different needs based on a support and resource index. So band 1, highest need, band 2, band 3, band 4. So yes, it would be expanding that. And on slide 9, you can see kind of what that overall impact is.
Okay. Because I know that we still have, a lot of schools in Band 3 that serve a lot of Title I students, and so I'm just wondering if that was taken into consideration at all, or how we would address that.
Yeah, so based on organization, one of the foundational data points in the sequencing of the bands is students identified as economically disadvantaged. That's just how it's organized. So SRI Band 1, you're going to likely have schools that have very high percentages of students that are identified as economically disadvantaged and high percentage of students who receive special education services, and it goes down from there. So 3, compared to 2 and 1, I can't say campus by campus, but generally speaking as a group would have fewer students as a percent of that are identified as economically disadvantaged. One of the things that I did hear from principals today was to, and I haven't had a chance to get into this yet, was if there may be some consideration for schools that are on a LIP, which is, there's a LIP, a TAP, a TIP. LIPs are tied to AISD. We don't submit them to the state. But just kind of going back one more time and saying, okay, are there campuses that are in a turnaround process? They may not be a TAP. They may not have that many unacceptable accountability ratings, but should there be some consideration? And I told the principals that I would definitely look at that. This number is of the whole, but I think there's room for some adjustment. But I wouldn't do it just based on students identified as economically disadvantaged because they're ranked that way. So they're all going to be kind of the same, kind of moving towards band 2, which will be greater. If that's helpful. So the answer is yes, we can look at that. Is it going to move the number? Right now it's 1.44 million. There may be some adjustment there, but I'm happy to go back and see if there's, I don't know that it impacts the budget here, per se, but I have committed the principals that I would go back through and see if there's any that are on LIPs or TAPs that need additional consideration.
Thank you. And then were we able to do any sort of creative problem solving around CIS?
Creative problem solving. We've been in contact with CIS. Dr. Mary Ann Maxwell, who's in the audience, had conversations today with their leadership team. Just to be clear, Communities in Schools isn't vacating Austin ISD. There are still going to be dozens of schools that are supported. Right now, the conversations are around, are there adjustments in kind of what we pay versus given the number of students in each school? It's kind of based on the flat line rate. We've been engaged with them for weeks now. I don't know, Dr. Mary Ann Maxwell, if you'd like to weigh in on that, but creative solution as far as making up the whole. There isn't a way for us to find the funds unless I take it from somewhere else to make it fully whole, but I can tell you we're trying to make every dollar that's remaining stretch as far as we possibly can. My understanding, I don't want to misspeak, but that we're probably still going to be over 30 schools. I don't know what the number is final, but I think we were at 51 before. So go ahead. Sorry, Dr. Maxwell. I don't want to steal your...
We were at 55 campuses.
55.
And so we're looking at least 30, and then we're looking at alternative funding sources to be able to try to stretch those dollars even more to supplement what the district can pay. And then just, again, working with them. We've had several meetings a week the last couple of weeks just to try and identify campuses and work with campuses as well, and try to find the funding that would allow us to stretch those dollars as much as possible to serve as many schools as possible.
And to be clear, Dr. Maxwell, you're meeting not campus, you're meeting with the leadership team at CIS.
Yes.
Just to be, because I know there's been conversations, just I want to be really clear, like we are coordinated with them on this.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I mean, I know that there's a lot of moving parts in this, but I would expect that, if a school who relies heavily on CIS might be getting some sort of deduction or decrease in their resources, that hopefully we might think, how to pivot creatively to partnerships, or like you said, God bless you for stretching the numbers. I wouldn't even, I know it's hard work, but I guess I just wanted to make sure that we are just still thinking about the students who depend on a lot of different things in our district, but, this specifically, that they're still, that they're not going to be lost in the cracks, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I think that's it for now, for me.
Thank you, Dr. Maxwell.
Thank you. Trustee Kaufman, anything?
Just a few. Thank you for pointing out during the presentation around finding places, employment for people who are displaced by this. I think it's really important to highlight that for many of our employees, all of the certified and many of the not certified, that you're finding a place so they're not unemployed or losing their opportunity to earn an income in Austin. I know it's not the same when you're displaced from one position to another, from one school to another, but it's better than that we're doing a mass RIF with cutting hundreds of people. So thank you for highlighting that. I just have a few detailed questions, but first I just had an overall question about all the documents that were added subsequently to when the budget was originally posted. Many of those attachments 5 through 14 are the same that are in attachment 4, the overall presentation or budget. Are those attachments revisions to what's in attachment 4, or are those just pulling it out so it's a separate document?
Yeah, I understand that there were revisions as far as kind of like when we do a general agenda item, if something changes meaningfully, then we'll add a revision. I'm not sure if it's listed that way, but they are revisions.
So I guess I don't think it's listed that way, and I was perplexed today on how to handle this because I actually prepared for this, which I don't always successfully do, and then I arrive at 5:45 for a grievance hearing and come in for this, or 4:45 from work, leaving work, and then I come here and find on the dais 10 more items that I didn't know because they were notified of in an email shortly after noon, but I don't check my email when I'm at my other job or driving here or at a hearing. So anyhow, I'm trying to make sense of how do I make sense of that then, because I don't know what's different about all those hundreds of pages than the hundreds of pages I already looked at.
I'll have to go back and look at the attachments. Most of the attachments were supposed to be updated because of the adjustment of the $20 million, so that we could show the difference between what we originally, what the recommended budget was versus the proposed budget. But as soon as I get back to my seat, I'll go back and make sure. We were trying to say, like, this is attachment 1, and then as of maybe June 11th, and this is the same thing, attachment 1 as of June 18th. So I'll go back and make sure.
And if it is just the 20 million adjustments, then that would be helpful just to know that. But I also received, we received many emails from people who, and there was a lot of social media buzz from people who scoured these documents. And so helping everyone to understand kind of what's different would be helpful for the engagement part.
Yes.
Quick thing. So you mentioned, I think, attachment 4, which is like the big monster document. Yeah. That one, I think, is from last week because it still shows the 15.1% fund balance. And I think you and I talked earlier today saying that would be updated after the budget is adopted.
Yes.
Okay, so attachment 4 is slightly outdated, but I think the other attachments, the dates are pretty, reliable. And if it doesn't have a date, I think that's the latest and greatest.
Okay. But again, with hundreds of pages, it's hard to figure out what's
know.
different. So if there's some way of notating what's different, that would be helpful. Specifically on attachment 11, the separate document, I was able to go through that sitting up here. I just have a few specific questions on that. So on attachment 11, it shows the changes at different departments and schools and in terms of employment. And it shows that Adobe, Web, and Burnett drops of 20, 23, and 18.25 staff members, 27%, 31%, and 20%, or 20, can't read my own writing, something percent. What does that mean in terms of support for Adobe, Web, and Burnett as we transition into this next period of a little uncertainty of what's coming next week as we're transferring ownership or management to TCIS? What does that mean that those numbers of support for our schools that are most in need of support are dropping? Help me understand what's happening with that.
Yeah, so just to be clear, it's changed from allocation to allocation, fiscal year to fiscal year. So the student populations of those schools is different than it was when we started last year, right? So the budget, I don't want Trustee Kaufman to assume that all those allocations had been implemented and used throughout the entire year, because
I'm not assuming, I just want to understand it.
Yeah, so we've updated the allocations based on our enrollment projections for these campuses. We've had conversations with our staffing partner, to make them aware of what these are. We have, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because we also, just so our trustees are aware, whenever there's a turnaround plan, we held multiple things harmless. So I'm not even sure that this is actually what it would be if we would have implemented the full methodology.
Okay.
I can break it down and show kind of what the difference is, because there have been adjustments based on what those schools are afforded due to the turnaround plans.
Okay.
But we have been working with the partner through this process.
Okay, so those drops don't necessarily mean there's a divestment of support for the schools?
Well, I mean, do you want to?
Yeah, so we adjusted their staffing commensurate with every other middle school that are in the same position, but they can buy positions back up to their 1882 summary of finance amount. And we're working on that right now.
Okay, so those may not be the end staffing numbers once the partner
Yes, that's correct.
combines, that makes it, okay, thank you. Also on attachment 11, there's, I took two campuses from District 7 that have very similar population of students, and one is dropping from 78 students to 78 staff or teachers or something, staff members, to 76 staff members. The other from 81.5 to a 71. So one has a 2.6% and the other a 12.9% drop. What are some of the variables that might explain why two comparable sized and comparable socioeconomic status schools would have such different drops?
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to talk about the schools.
I can name them.
They're two districts. So we staff to language. That's something that I don't know the campuses.
Mills and Marinoff.
All right, I can pull them up.
Just to understand the changes, because I just want to help understand what is, other than like just percentages or
the number of students in each grade level.
What is driving some of those changes, other than specific position cuts that are basically the same at each school?
Yeah, when it comes to teachers, the teacher ratios were set based on what we shared with our trustees earlier in the semester, just a couple months ago, and are implemented. So I don't recall if one is a band 4 school, one's a band, I need to think through which band they're in, because we did modify our ratios, if you recall, Trustee Kaufman, where we didn't implement all the way to band 1, or we protected TAP schools. So I'd have to look and see what band they fall in. That's one thing. So that way you would see variation between similar sized schools if they were in different bands. If they're likely in band 1 or 2, then you would see a change. If it was band 4, then that's where you had previously implemented essential areas. So that would be a change. Language also, I'd have to break it down, but there are lots of things that would drive kind of the teacher allocations, but they're all driven by enrollment numbers. We don't make adjustments unilaterally. They're all just kind of driven by those numbers. But if you want me to, I can break it down.
Can we just answer on the updated bands for this coming year? Where do Mills and Baranoff sit?
We typically update the bands in the summer once we get updated enrollment.
The bands that these budgets were based on. I thought they were both 4, but.
I should pull up my band.
Thank you. So we did have a meeting just today about the bands, and so that information is being calculated right now. So these current staffing allocations are based upon the 25-26 bands.
Okay. So I have that list somewhere, but I thought they were both 4, but I would have to double check that.
Clayton could be, you said Clayton and Mills?
Mills and Baranoff.
Oh, yeah. Baranoff could be 3, Mills almost certainly is 4, but I'll definitely, I'll look at it.
Just double check. Okay, and then I'll skip most of the other questions, but on attachment 6, where it's part of the comparison from year to year is the student-to-teacher ratio. And I was curious how the student-to-teacher ratio is counted, because we're talking about changing average, class sizes, caps, to 24 at an elementary school. But the student-to-teacher ratios are around, 12 and 11 and 14 and 12. So I understand it's not, the student-teacher ratio doesn't reflect one-to-one what the typical homeroom classroom size is. But I just wanted to clarify what's the methodology for calculating those student-to-teacher ratios, because they are so much lower than what the classroom size cap is. And they're also, honestly, the ones on this list are lower than what's on the taper reports also. So it seems like a different calculation than what TEA uses perhaps, unless we've done a lot of cuts since the 24-25 taper.
Yeah, and so.
I can give an example real fast. That, for example, on the 2024-25, right, that's where we're at on the tapers now, right? The most recent are 24-25.
Yep.
So on that taper, there's a school that has 15.9 as the student-to-teacher ratio, but this data shows for 25-26 that it was 11.5, so 4 students less on the ratio. I don't think we've cut that much from a campus since last year, so just kind of want to understand what the methodology is for those numbers, just to help understand.
And I think, Trustee Kaufman, that it may have to do with the timing of the report. So some of that information is provided on Snapshot, which is the last day in October and Friday in October. And then some of the reporting may have been at another time during the year where that ratio was much lower. So it could have something to do with the timing.
So what's the methodology? Like when you think students is easy, there's how many students are in the school. Teachers, is that, who's included in the teacher count for that? Obviously more than just homeroom teachers. Like, is that just the total number of people who are in certified teacher positions on the campus?
So it could have to do with some of the special programs, for instance, special education, bilingual services, those type of programs as well. So when you look at the staffing ratios, again, one of the issues with staffing is that where do you add a teacher and at what point do you add a teacher? And so is that at 22, is that at 23, is that at 26? So that will drive some of those variables and variations that you might see in the report, and especially between 2 different campuses as well.
I can give you the breakdown of which ones are in the numerator, right, which is the teachers.
Really
the sort of, like, who is used to identify a certified teacher.
Yeah.
Because in some cases we classify, yeah.
Great.
I got you.
All right, I will forego my other questions. Thank you all.
Thank you. Can I just ask a related question to this one? Thanks for being here. While we have that, going through that campus by campus, there is a major outlier in my district, and I'm trying to figure out if it's a mistake or not. Barton Hills, when you look at the student-teacher ratio in the campus by campus document, Barton Hills has a ratio of 20.88 students per teacher. The next highest ratio for elementary is 15.26. And the document shows Barton Hills going down from 18.5 elementary teachers to 8.5 for a campus with 285 students. And I'm wondering if that may be mistaken, because that just seems very out of gamut with everything else. And it's not going to keep me from voting for the budget, but I do want to ask that we get an understanding of whether that's accurate or not, because it just seems like a major, major outlier.
Yes, we will, President Boswell.
Okay, thank you. I'd love an update about that when you figure it out. Thank you so much. Okay. Trustee De Uresto, do you have? We have 4 minutes till our promised 30 minutes.
One of the trustees that hasn't spoken yet.
Okay.
I'll do the same. No, go, yeah.
But you never speak.
Okay. Trustee Hunter?
Get the best question.
Yeah.
Best politician. Get the best damn question.
Can we take a minute? She's gonna tell me if these questions are answered. Okay. Okay, quickly, technically, when I look at the budget, it is balanced, but only because of this number of 68,051,000, and it's identified as a one-time financing source, but I can't, like, it doesn't say what the source is. And we said that the 4 properties, or maybe 5 properties that were 60 million TBD were not in here. So I'm trying to figure out what this, basically I'm gonna round up, $60.1 million is.
Where are you seeing, where are you, Trustee Hunter?
I don't have a line because I pulled it out. I wrote the question down for you. But it says, it's on, it says 7,900/7,000 sources. That's what I wrote. I'm so sorry that I don't have the thing in front of me. But it just says other funding source. Let me go back up real quick. Go up all the way to the top. Okay, $60.051 million in a one-time financing source. And in attachment 4.
Oh, that includes, which one? Far right?
Right there.
Oh, that's 60,051,000.
That's what I said.
Oh.
That's what I said.
Yeah, sorry,
saying,
I thought
what
you said
is it?
67, I thought you said it's a different number. I thought you said 68 million. You said 68 million, I think. I thought, that's what I heard, sorry. That's why that would have been off by 8 million.
60,051 million identified as one-time financing source. I just want to know what is that source?
60 million is the property monetization.
How we were going to use that? Okay, that's time. I will ask in the next part more thoroughly about that. But the play money, like enrollment at 68,329, this very vote tonight gonna change that number. I don't know by how much, but we can't bank on things that are. I know we have to make some assumptions, but I feel like some of this stuff is ethereal. Like, it's good if it happens, but where can I cash that, right?
So, Trustee Hunter, Trustee Foster had a question like this, and correct me if you heard it.
I did not, because I was being ill.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that's not
Every
good.
time I come to this building, I get sick.
So one of the things Trustee Foster asked me was the real estate assumption that you're using. And I've always said, and we've talked about it, I think, fairly consistently, that we're only going to use real estate in our budget to manage disruption from one year to the next. If I took the $60 million this fiscal year, the cuts would be $60 million more, and most all of it would come out of payroll. And so the idea, as we've talked about, we've been pretty consistent, the $60 million is going to be in the budget. He asked whether $60 million was too aggressive of a number, because we obviously run into entitlement challenges. Sometimes a community gets activated and they want maybe something different than what is going to yield the number that's in the line item. What I shared with him was that the $60 million, or $60 million, 51,000 that we have put in here is consistent with what we have been sharing with our community in the surplus meetings that have been going out all across Austin ISD. We're now in the second round, so when we tell community members that this is the expected use, that use with the known entitlements, with the known restrictions going through an opinion has yielded those numbers, and that is still less than what we think it'll be. So I feel like we can execute the 60 million. I feel like we can do it within the fiscal year with a high probability of confidence, and it'll be less than what I think we'll end up at.
Okay, I will keep my other questions for the next piece. I'm not, like, why it says other funding source and not like this probably gonna be buildings. Like, if you hadn't told me that, I would have, like, it's a little opaque. Remember, we talked about moving from opaque to transparent. Okay, thank you.
And Christine, to clarify, if we have questions, we really need to do it now.
If you have questions, you can.
Or do you think we can postpone some of it?
I think you can do it in the context of the voting item, but at that point, you will have time to ask more questions. But if there's anything feels like it needs to happen before you're very close to voting, then you should do it now.
Okay. If we may, I have just a couple of things. I'll try to be quick, and then is everyone okay with that? And then we can take a brief break, invite our other speakers in, and move forward with our next, with the meeting, the voting meeting. We good with that?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm going to have a bunch of questions too, but I will do that during the actual meeting.
Okay, well, if we're going to do that, I can wait with mine as well.
Keep it pushing.
Okay, I'll push a bit. Okay. First, I just want to really thank our community for sharing input. We have had so much input. Our community engages deeply, and it makes us better and stronger. And the speed isn't best practice. It's not the way we want to do this. I hear that we haven't had time. I mean, I think Trustee Kaufman said even the trustees, we're playing catch up a little bit today. I know the staff was playing catch up today. And part of why we have adopted, we plan to adopt a new calendar so we don't find ourselves here again. This isn't the best way to do it. And we can't vote on the 25th because of a newspaper posting. And if we had posted in time, it would have negated our first posting and made this posting irrelevant or not acceptable anymore. So we can't even delay a week until the 25th. We have to pass a budget by the end of the month, and we have to vote on a budget tonight. But that does mean, I know one of our callers mentioned amendments. That does mean we can come back and amend as we're working toward this. And I really appreciate any input people have about cuts that have been late breaking. Please continue to share with us, the people who are closest to the work with our students. This is all about serving our students everywhere. I know you'll continue to let us know what you see that we need to consider as we move forward in the year ahead. So thank you. I just want to say thank you, and I'm sorry that we're doing it this way. I also want to just call out on page 32 of the big document, the big budget book, there's a financial summary of our state allotments, and it shows what we receive from the state for certain programs and what we're spending. And even with some increases, there's still really big gaps. And I know these are things other districts feel. For school safety and security, we're receiving $5.3 million and spending 19.9. For special education services, we're receiving 77.5 and we're spending 188.7. We have big gaps in a lot of what we're doing. Dyslexia allotment, we're receiving 5.7 million and spending 11.1. And so it is our job to use every dollar we have as well as we can as a board. But we are spending 243% of what we receive for special education and the special education allotment on those services, and that matters a great deal. So I just really want to flag that. I'd like to add to the conversation about CIS and kind of the equity. The activity buses, I think, is a really important thing, and if I would love to understand what the impact of those buses is on the ability of our students to stay after school for tutoring, to stay after school for athletics, to stay after school for arts activities, for extracurriculars that are really not extra. They are part of our educational program, and they are not always academic in the same way, but they are opportunities to get to college, to get a scholarship, to find a passion, to become part of a community. And if getting rid of those buses segregates those or takes those opportunities away from a lot of our students, I'd really like to understand the impact of that. So I hope we're going to be asking about that, because those late buses make participation possible for a lot of students, and I want to be sure we hear that and really consider that. I do have one question about the pending leveling and attrition, and I see that listed at $31 million. I see two specific things called out, 5.34, I believe from some campuses, and $1 million from kind of upper level staff at central office, or no, I think those are both central office numbers. And that leaves $25 million. Is that campus leveling after school starts? What does that mean? Leveling can mean many things.
So in the $31 million, there's several things. We didn't break it out by percent because that will fluctuate. So leveling is one. It is campus leveling. That's where it occurs. What has happened, I think we won't have hopefully we don't have as much of it because we're really monitoring allocations before we release. The one thing that isn't in our budget that you've seen in the previous budgets is a vacancy savings percent. Let's be really clear. Every budget that we've passed in the last 5 years has had a percent of total payroll that is tied to vacancies. We do not have that in this number. 2% of $1 billion is a big number. So in lieu of having these percentages, what we said is this is what the actual item is going to include, not apply a percent and then kind of just without really some intentionality. So we decided to break it up and say, okay, well, we could expect this amount of attrition in collapsed positions given what we're forecasting over the course of the year for directors and above. This is what we're going to see outside of the central administration function, but within our non-campus divisions, which is the other number. And then lastly, where the majority of our staff is in our campuses. So it'll be attrition, it'll be restructure at central office, and then leveling and vacancy savings. That's a good amount of money.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And then I have just a couple of comments, and then I'm finished with mine. I know that partly we're making some of these deep cuts because we've missed our adopted budget, and that makes the cuts we have to make to get where we need to be stable and keep the ability to pay our people and pay for the people who serve our students. We have to make deeper cuts. And so in August, I hope you bring back to us a really clear plan for how we ensure that doesn't happen again this year. It can't happen again. We won't be able to move forward. And so I hope that's something that you can share with us in August is really just how we stick to our budget. And I know you've shared a little bit about how we're going to do that, but a really clear plan, monitoring more closely as a board on our calendar is part of it. I know we've talked about potentially adding a constraint to our scorecard so we can monitor it through our constraint in our scorecard process. I'd like to consider that together with my colleagues and perhaps consider a constraint that we can put on the scorecard in August, add that to our vote, and add that to our board monitoring calendar. And then my other question is I'd really like to understand if we get enrollment wrong, if we get our ADA wrong, if we get our property values wrong. I'd like to understand what our plan is for addressing that if the assumptions we've made don't hold, how we get ahead of that instead of catching up to it later. So thank you.
So just to provide a quick response on the last part of that series of that kind of multi-pronged question, enrollment is through leveling. That's the hardest thing in the system. One of the hardest things to do in the system. We know once the school year starts, the number of students that are enrolled in our campuses, we build that up. The first weeks we do after 10 days we do automatic drops, then it builds up all the way to snapshot. The challenge in AISD has been, for the last 10 years, has been allocating the individual or the staff person using projections and then not adjusting once the school year started. So the biggest dollar amount out of those three components is going to be leveling. If the students aren't there, we have to level. We just have to do it. So that's a big part of it. It's not the only thing.
Okay. Thank you. And I think we can save some of this till August. I know we have a lot of people waiting. If there's something you think is important to share, and if not, you can bring it back. Because I know we have a lot of people waiting.
Yeah, we definitely want to get to come.
Okay. Trustee Singh, do you want to ask now or wait till later?
Oh, I'll wait.
Okay. So are we good moving on? Okay, great. Okay, thank you for the conversation. So at this time, we'll adjourn our public hearing, take a very brief break, and then return to open our regular voting meeting. Secretary Foster, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 7:10 p.m., and we'll be back in about 5 minutes.